Everyone mentioned today is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and everything I discuss here is theory until proven fact, even if it is.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean, and I bring it to the mad light, ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel, I took the red pill, I know life's short, so I wanna live real, but how's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? They wanna sing my name, but they holding back. They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't play no games, I just do that's fact. And I don't feel no shame, it's a mood you lack. I go crazy, nah bitch I ain't lazy. Track after track, I work on this shit daily. Pass me the jack, right as fuel, got me hazy. About to unpack all these things I've been chasing. I've got visions in my head, like memories after death. To be a legend instead of something you can forget. I'm living up every breath, I'd rather lead than be led. I'll fill the seats as I spread with every word that I've said. How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel?
Hey guys, how you going? How you going, Dave? Good to see ya. They're having a pro-British protest on the 13th of September. Please pass the word on. Much love. I will do. I just have. There you go. How you going, Alex? Good to see ya. Sherry, good to see ya. Stu, good to see you. Okay, let's get into it. Does anyone remember Abby Chatfield? Okay, this is an Australian left-leaning weirdo. Okay, down under girl, doggos are my something or other. I've got a cough already. Hang on a sec, guys. Geez, I've had a tickle in my throat for like a week and a half. Maybe 2 weeks, I don't know. Sorry. Okay, Abby Vile Chatfield is swiftly becoming one of the most despised, man-hating, unhinged woke leftists that exist in Australia, and I'm only giving her more airtime because George breaks her crazy rants down perfectly. Credit to TikTok user George Mamalis. Okay, listen to this now. My God. She's off the deep end, this chick. Okay, let's have a look.
The footage from this march for Australia. It is so embarrassing. These people look exactly how you think they look. Not
Fake laugh straight away.
a coherent thought between the lot of them nationwide. Now,
Projection.
I've got it, guys. All they're fueled by is hate and racism, and they want to blame other people because they are such fucking that maybe the reason why your lives are shit has nothing to do with immigrants. I think it might be that you are...
Are you 5 years old? What was that little tongue sticking out thing? Oh, she's a weirdo.
Incoherent, incompetent victims who have no skills. Can you believe it? We're actually immigrants. We're actually a country of immigrants, colonizers, actually. Is the reason why you have problems.
And you know what? She's worried about us being a nation of immigrants or whatever, colonizers. And what are they doing now? They're doing it again. But she's fine with that one, okay?
Is because of two things. The systemic issues of capitalism and also of colonization living in this
Bullshit.
country. Because look at the fucking demographic. All these fucking white people.
Abby Chatfield's rant about the March for Australia protests is the perfect example of what the left gets wrong in this country. She calls everyday Australians losers, incompetent victims with no ambition. That's not analysis, that's contempt. And it's the same contempt we see over and over again from the left wing. Instead of showing a shred of sympathy, instead of acknowledging there's a real problem, they double down, they sneer, they push people further away. She says it's all just hate, racism and incoherence. That people didn't march because of hate. They marched because they can't pay their rent, because of housing being out of reach, because wages are stagnant while costs explode, worried about their children's future. And that's not incoherence, that's frustration. That's ordinary Australians feeling like they felt abandoned. But here's what the left does. They take that pain and weaponize it. They mock them as dumb, racist, backwards, and it's always the same types leading the charge. The privileged white inner city voices who hate themselves enough to tear down their own country, but feel superior enough to do it. Abby has become the spokesperson for the entire culture. She says the problem is capitalism and colonization, but sneering at people who struggle doesn't solve anything. Laughing at families who can't afford food or rent isn't progress. It's elitism pretending to be compassion. This is why so many Australians are fed up. Because when the left looks at ordinary people, they don't see neighbours or fellow citizens, they see an enemy. And when you treat people like that, don't be surprised when they push back. Australia doesn't need more content. It doesn't need more self-hating elites telling us how ashamed we should be of who we are. It needs solutions. It needs leadership. And it needs commentators who can actually listen instead of mocking from their bedroom. Because tomorrow, those same Australians Abby are laughing at will still be struggling. And they don't need to be othered. They need to be heard. God bless Australia.
This is what I mean. I don't know if you noticed the captions underneath this guy talking. Well, they got colonialism wrong and a few other words as well. They don't understand the English language, so I don't know how AI is going to be a benefit to anyone. And here we go. Now she's got a boyfriend coming out who pretty much looks like you'd probably expect him to look. Drew Pavlo said Abby Chatfield brings out her gimp boyfriend on a leash to tell patriotic Australians they should all take themselves out for daring to want a country. This woman is extremely mentally ill, and so is her boyfriend, I think. Let's have a look.
All of you pieces of shit that won't listen to a woman because you call me hysterical, here is actually an adult man who will speak to you.
Well, what I'll tell you is, if you're going to be going out there trying to protest to keep this country, first of all, just think about that sentiment. You fucking moronic little piece of shit. You are the biggest fucking loser that's walked on this earth. You are an immigrant yourself, first and foremost. This is not our land. Which is very, I mean, it doesn't take a fucking genius to know that. But you're so far from that it's kind of to be expected.
Needs a reminder.
To think that you're protesting against immigrants, that's not even what's going on here. This is flat out racism.
It wasn't just about immigration. It was about the cost of living, elbow, you name it. Jeez, these people are moronic.
And anyone that denies that, you're a fucking racist. You're a piece of shit. You belong
Don't
in
care.
fucking jail.
Don't care.
Worse, which
Don't
I won't
care.
say, but the main thing is, you are all bigots.
Don't care.
You're pieces of shit.
Don't care.
You belong on the bottom of everybody's shoe.
Don't care.
You're a stain on this fucking country.
Don't care.
You shouldn't represent this country at all.
Don't care.
Unfortunately, this country is rooted and upheld within racism, so it is very on brand. You're all scum. You need to do fucking better. There's Indigenous people that have been hurt after a bunch of fucking...
Do you know that the Indigenous people are getting hurt even more with the immigration? But hey, don't worry about that one.
Nazi losers ran through a camp. How the fuck is that trying to reclaim Australia? I mean, you just all got fucking pea brains, tiny cocks, and dumb numbskulls. You fucking idiots. Don't procreate. Just die. You don't belong here. Piss off. You racist fucks. You're all losers. Grow up.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we should leave it to them. Let all the white Australians leave, take everything with them, and let these people try and build it. These are two leftist inner city elite people, I guarantee you. And this guy doesn't even look manly to me, doesn't sound manly to me either. I don't know. Wow. Anyway, let's show them on the 13th of September. I'm not sure, the 13th or the 15th, I'm not sure. Okay, let's go to America. Benny Johnson, RFK Jr., just went off for 2 minutes straight, tearing into the politicisation of COVID. The entire room went silent. Watch this, okay?
Do you believe COVID-19 was politicized?
Yeah, the whole process was politicized. Senator, I mean, we were lied to about everything. We were lied to about natural immunity. We were lied to about, we were told again and again the vaccines would prevent transmission, they prevent infection. It wasn't true. They knew it from the start it wasn't true because that's what the animal studies and the clinical trials showed. We were told that there was science behind cloth masks. The CDC allowed the teachers union to write the order closing our schools, which hurt working people all over the country, and then pretend it was science-based. All of these issues, and then I can show you, like, for example, Chairman Wyden was talking about me politicizing ACIP. During COVID, probably the most famous scientist on ACIP was Martin Kulldorff from Harvard, the great, world-renowned epidemiologist and vaccinologist. And he criticized the COVID booster mandates. They ejected him from COVID because he wasn't in the orthodoxy. The two biggest health officials at FDA during COVID, Dr. Gruber and Dr. Krause, criticized the Biden mandates, vaccine mandate. President Biden said in August, I would never take that vaccine, the Trump vaccine. And he came in, he mandated it, and then he fired the two top health officials at FDA who said, hey, this thing has not been properly tested. So the whole process was politicized, and even today.
So I'm 15.
Oh, interesting. We got more.
Do you believe?
Okay, let's come back to Australia for a minute. We'll go back to RFK Jr. in a sec. Lauren said, of course she is. F-rag. Australians versus the agenda. Senator Jackie Lambie says anti-immigration sentiment is spreading in Australia because of misinformation and disinformation on social media and is calling for tighter regulations of the platforms. Of course she is. This loudmouth. I really don't like this woman.
Get a sense of the way people view these protests, including Senator Price, who's said that, obviously she's condemned neo-Nazis, but she's talked about lots of people at those protests and their legitimate concerns. A lot of people, though, were told to go to those protests with a lot of anti-Indian sentiments. There were obviously anti-Jewish sentiments. Are you concerned about that people were turning up when that sort of rhetoric was being used to get them there?
I think it's very unfortunate there are a few Australians out there who believe their right is to go and protest and that is going to make for a peaceful country. And if you want to go and support neo-Nazis, then that is absolutely shocking, and you probably need to have a good look at yourself in the mirror.
No, you need to have a good look at yourself. The neo-Nazis were put in there to, I believe, make the protests look like that. Part of the government. Paid, maybe.
And probably get off social media and stop reading the misinformation and disinformation that is going on. Once again, we're going off the topic here of what should be done is these social media companies need to be reined in. They need to be regulated, and nobody seems to have the courage up here to do that.
So you're saying that you think a lot of this stuff is spreading through social media?
Oh, absolutely. It's spreading through social media. We've seen it with COVID. Absolutely shocking. And once again, we have done nothing about the misinformation and disinformation that is floating around on social media.
You can see the narrative, can't you? Even the way the newsreader spun it in the first place, you can see the narrative is to censor people.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with social media, it's like gambling. You sit on that screen, it becomes highly addictive, and the algorithms will feed you in exactly what you are looking for. And that makes your head even worse. And I just don't, I feel for those people because, quite frankly, I'm worried about their own mental health.
So you think some of these people are being really activated by people who are using...
I'm more worried about her mental health and her mental health, actually.
Using this kind of misinformation to make them paranoid about their fellow citizens.
I think that right now there is a lot of vulnerable Australians out there. The rich keep getting richer and the poorer keep getting poorer, and that makes for more vulnerable people out there, and they are looking for something to belong to. That is what they're looking for. And through that misinformation and disinformation and not regulating social media, because they have no courage to do so, because God forbid if they were to, those social media companies have great control over where your posts go, what comes in, all that sort of stuff, that they might be scared that they're not getting the likes that they need. Well, you know
bullshit.
what? Get off social media and get out there, get your shoes on, get your boots on, and actually go out there and talk to the people of Australia. That's how you'll get your votes, not on the likes on social media.
Oh, my God. Anyway, you should be able to see the narrative from miles away. Alex James says the left says the Europeans stole Australia from the Aboriginals, but at the same time they support mass migration to Australia. Make that make sense. Yeah, you can't, can you? Okay, Wall Street Ape said American citizens are losing their minds finding out illegals have been getting Section 8 housing while they have to pay full rent. You're telling me with rent being like 50% of the average American's income, they're getting housing assistance, but we have to make full rent and live 3 people to an apartment, but we have to have roommates until our 30s, but these guys are getting housing assistance? Like, I am at the point where I'm starting to think that if you're an average American citizen, you should automatically qualify for welfare, not because you don't make enough money, but just because they've given out so much to people who literally aren't supposed to even be here. Anyone who can't see how that's a problem, if nothing else, just because we pay into the system, how many of these people say they're coming over here seeking asylum, but then they're ungrateful to the country that's willing to save their lives? Make that make sense. Yeah, housing assistance should be for citizens only.
So now people are getting mad that the illegals are getting kicked off of housing assistance. How did they get on there in the first place? You're telling me with rent being like 50% of the average American's income, they're getting housing assistance, but we have to make full rent and live 3 people to an apartment, but we have to have roommates until our 30s, but these guys are getting housing assistance? Like, I genuinely am at the point where I'm starting to think that if you're an average American citizen, you should automatically qualify for welfare. Not because you don't make enough money, but just because they've given out so much to people who literally aren't supposed to even be here.
I don't agree that everyone should get welfare because that's like socialism, isn't it? But anyway, let's continue. But I do believe it should be for American citizens only and people who do love America, not people who go there and pretend and then hate America and try and change it.
Anyone who can't see how that's a problem, if nothing else, just because we pay into the system, and I get it, oh, illegal immigrants pay into taxes too. No, they don't. No, they don't. And even if they did, I still think even if you had to pay taxes and you don't get anything back for it, that should be payment enough for getting the opportunity to change your life. How many of these people say they're coming over here seeking asylum, but then they're ungrateful to the country that's willing to save their lives? Make it make sense.
Yeah, it's a whole lot that doesn't make sense right now. Okay, Secretary Kennedy said, I refuse to sign onto something unless I can stand behind it with scientific certainty. That doesn't make me anti-vax. It makes me pro-science.
We have to acknowledge that there was a cause. We acknowledge that there was a benefit. We can't quantify either one because of the data chaos at CDC. And that's all I'm saying. And they think I'm being evasive because I won't make a kind of a statement that's almost religious in nature. Did it save 1 million lives? Well, there's no data to support that. Or maybe data, you know, there's no study, there's modeling studies, there's faulty data. I'm not going to sign on to something if I can't do it to a scientific certainty. It doesn't mean that I'm, you know, anti-vax. It just means I'm pro-science. We have to acknowledge.
And this is going on now, I believe, or it was before I started, the whole him going into Congress. Booker said the question is, did Hillary approve selling 20% of America's uranium to Russia for donations to the Clinton Foundation? Spelt a bit wrong there. But yes, yes, she did. She did approve it for donations to the Clinton Foundation. How you going, George? Stu, Flyby Stu, how you going? Good to see you. J1, good to see you guys. Okay, let's go.
Did Hillary Clinton give 20% of the United States supply of uranium to Russia for donations to the Clinton Foundation? And it flows out of the sale in 2010 of this company, Uranium One, which controlled about 1/5 of America's uranium, to a Russian firm called Rosatom. By law, even though Uranium One was a Canadian firm, the U.S. part of this deal had to be approved by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., which is comprised of 9 agencies, including the State Department. And at that time, Hillary Clinton was the boss there. Anderson?
So, I mean, a lot of this was looked at during the campaign. Why is it coming up back now again? I mean, there were also all the donations to the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. It was all talked about before. But the Hill newspaper, which reports on a lot of things with the government here, came out with a report showing the FBI was investigating a subsidiary of Rosatom for possible racketeering, money laundering, bribes, all aimed at giving the Russian government more influence over the U.S. nuclear industry while this deal was being approved. So some members of Congress want to know why they weren't told about all of this. And furthermore, the Hill says the Russians were channeling millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation at the same time, raising the question, especially for some Republicans, did Hillary Clinton help this deal along in any fashion?
Yep, and if you go over here, they tell you. They tell you exactly she was. Anyway, Secretary Kennedy said we became the sickest country in the world. I need to make sure this doesn't happen again. I think I just said what he's going to say.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job. This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you,
and I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Good on him. How you going, Carl? And Menacing Muskrat, how you going, guys? Good to see you. Johnny Midnight said she stole $38.7 million. Arizona Democrat sentenced to 10 years for embezzling $38 million. Christina Aguayo. I don't know how to say that. Anyway, apparently, yeah. Let's have a look.
Santa Cruz County Treasurer Elizabeth Gutfar has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for embezzling and laundering more than $38 million in public funds. She was sentenced in federal court in Tucson, Arizona by District Judge Rosemary C. Marquez. The case is one of Arizona's largest government embezzlement scandals in history. The FBI and IRS found that Gutfar initiated about 187 unauthorized wire transfers from Santa Cruz County's bank accounts, bypassing the required two-step approval process by using the authentication token of one of her employees, meaning she was able to both initiate and approve the transactions. The embezzled funds were funneled into accounts under the names of fake companies that she created. Gutfar spent the money on purchasing real estate properties, renovating her family ranch, covering expenses for her cattle business, buying at least 20 vehicles, and acquiring homes in Mexico and Pine Top, Arizona, as well as a horse ranch. The total amount embezzled was about $38.7 million. Judge Marquez sentenced Gutfar to 10 years in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Her plea agreement was for 5.25 to 6.5 years, but the judge thought she deserved more time behind bars. She was also ordered to pay about $51.8 million in restitution. She was immediately taken into custody by the U.S. Marshals after sentencing.
Good. And don't think that's just happening over there, because it's happening everywhere in all our countries. Jordan H. Knight said, "You're not depressed, you're just losing your country." So anyone who feels depressed, and we're not going to lose it, just hang in there. If you're depressed at what's going on, just understand why. It's that you're losing your country, but we won't be losing our countries. Just hang in there. Secretary Kennedy said they'd still be lying if the American people hadn't gotten their way. Did I say again what he just said?
We were lied to about everything. We were lied to about natural immunity. We were lied to about, we were told again and again the vaccines would prevent transmission, they'd prevent infection. It wasn't true. They knew it from the start it wasn't true, because that's what the animal studies and the clinical trials showed. We were told that there was science behind cloth masks. The CDC allowed the teachers union to write the order closing our schools, which hurt working people all over the country, and then pretend it was science-based. We were lied to about everything.
There you go. We were lied to about everything. I was right. Johnny Midnight said, "You wonder how illegals get licenses? Listen to this. A black woman was fired after exposing co-workers for selling driver's licenses to illegal immigrants for $200.
The undocumented workers would come into the office in groups. They would provide them either permits or driver's license illegally. So they will bypass without even taking the test.
How much?
$200 per person.
Up to 5 times a day, she says. Was this an everyday thing?
Almost, yes.
I first reported on the driver's license fraud investigation in April after getting my hands on one of the state's revocation letters. We learned the transportation cabinet sent more than 1,500 of them in 5 months, telling drivers their license was issued in air and must be returned or they could be criminally charged. At the time, state officials confirmed at least 2 terminations, and ongoing state and federal investigations focused on the NIA Center in West Louisville and the E-Town license branch. But they denied all of our records requests, withholding 2,300 documents on the fraud. Mormon's story fills in the blanks.
I found out it may have been going on for a couple of years before it was found out.
We're told it wasn't as simple as people getting state-issued driver's license or permits without taking a test. She says 2 of her colleagues at the NIA Center approached her with a business venture, asking if she wanted to get in on the scheme.
I was asked to bring certain customers in, and they are brought in to me without signing in. And you would scan their documents as usual.
Documents made to look legitimate, like birth certificates and social security cards, according to the letter she wrote to the state. But a key to pulling off this scheme was making sure the required Homeland Security screening was never run.
I start getting these emails saying, "Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this?"
And that's where it unraveled. She says those workers were using her login, a password she says her bosses made her share, as all workers at the driver's license branch did not have their own. And Mormon was training to be.
That's crazy. That's no wonder that Indian guy got his license. Vince Langman said, "Look out, Pete Hegseth. The Venezuelan Navy is getting ready for a fight." Oh, dear God. In little boats. Oh, look at them. Yeah, very healthy men. Yep. Looking ready to fight there.
Miren esta hermosura desde Río Caribe. Nuestros pescadores patriotas alistándose por la defensa de la paz y la soberanía. Aquí vamos. Compadre, aquí el motor. Mira ya la fuerza.
Can't understand one word you're saying, mate. I don't know. Apparently they're getting ready for a fight, but I can't understand one word they're saying.
Armada, nuestra Fuerza Armada siempre acompañándonos. William.
Estamos en la lucha por la defensa, por la paz
I don't think some of these men are ready to fight for anything, to be honest.
¡Viva la patria!
Wow. Anyway, I didn't understand a word of it. Can't threaten me if I can't understand what you're saying. Okay, Elon Musk said something is seriously wrong. Trans sex hormone drugs are driving extreme violence and should be banned. Redux said Canada, a trans-identified male has been arrested after breaking into a family home and assaulting their toddler sexually. Danny Senecal, who uses she-her pronouns, fetish, was recently released early from prison for a previous child sex attack. French native Irish live fast and hard finally figured it out. Yeah, you haven't figured anything out, mate. You're very confused, that's all I can say. And actually criminal because how dare you assault a toddler? Okay. I believe there's more to this. I believe that maybe the hormones they're given, and if they're on SSRIs as well, I don't know how it works together. I'm not a doctor, okay? But I can't see it being good. You need to look at synergy of things working together and how they work together. Jill Menarelli said, look at the disgust on the other bee's face while looking at the flag. We have traitors in our parliament. I could have told you that. Her and Maureen Faruqi. Farquhar. Look at it. Pauline Hanson rips into a ridiculous Australian flag ban because what they've done is apparently they banned the Australian flag from our parliament. Hello, we are Australia and our parliament should be flying the Australian flag and no other flag. Wow. Lozzie B said these two have been besties for decades. They used to be housemates. This should concern every single Australian. This is our Prime Minister and this was the Premier who shot people with rubber bullets during COVID. Yeah, crazy. Hey, out to lunch. Hey, Nisi, how you doing? Yeah, you should be concerned about these two. And now Daniel Andrews is advising, oh my God, there's two idiots. They're two idiots running the country. Okay, this is Secretary Kennedy. I never promised I was going to recommend products for which there is no indication. To Liz Pocahontas Warren.
I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator. I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
Apparently, Kennedy and Warren have been going at it in this Congress. What is it? The meeting anyway in Congress. Well, they're grilling him apparently. So they want to get rid of RFK Jr., by the way. There's about 1,000 of them, I believe. Emil Kirkgard said it's a mystery. LeBron School has everything we're told students need. It's still failing them. Not one I Promise 8th grader has ever passed Ohio's math test, and English and science scores are dismal. The question is, why? LeBron James addresses the media after opening ceremonies of the I Promise School on July the 30th, 2018 in Akron, Ohio. They're probably brainwashing them instead. Adam Johnson said they pray on the streets because there are 581 mosques in New York. Dr. Malouf said there are 581 mosques in New York. Why do they still pray on the street? It's interesting, isn't it? Interesting question. They've got mosques they can go to, but they choose to pray on the street. Anyway, it's not going to play for me, so there you go. Jacinta Nampijinpa Price. Okay, I think I got it right. This morning I joined Sunrise on 7 to call for respect for our flag and our country. If you believe in standing up for Australia and our values, share this video. Let's have a little listen.
A rejection of Australia
Oh,
and all that
no.
it stands for, or a simple act of freedom of speech? The debate on the burning of our national flag intensified this week after Liberal Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price called on politicians to criminalise it.
Things need to change, especially at a time when our nation is facing social cohesion challenges unlike we've seen in generations. The Coalition calls on the Albanese government to enact legislation that criminalises the destruction or desecration of our national flag.
This comes after a weekend of tension across the country where videos emerged of protesters taking a flame to the flag. For more, Senator Price, Shadow Minister for...
Which protesters, you need to specify which protesters are burning the Australian flag, because it wasn't the protests for Australia. It would have been the Palestinian protesters who also decided they were going to protest on the same day.
For the defence industry joins us live in Canberra. Good morning to you. So if the flag is a symbol of freedom, some would say that includes the freedom to burn it.
Look, what really concerns me is the fact that the flag is a symbol of our nation. I find that it's betrayal to burn our flag. Our soldiers, when we lose them, when our diggers pass away, their coffins are draped in the Australian flag, a flag that they fought for our freedoms under. And it is desecration. It is ultimate disrespect to our nation. And I truly...
And why are they hiding their faces behind masks if they're so proud of burning the flag? Look at that. Abolish Australia. Nice. What are you doing here? Anyone who does that should be kicked out of the country.
Would like to see the Albanese government put in legislation to make it illegal to burn our national emblem.
Your proposal was voted down by the Greens and Labor yesterday. What do you think most Australians think about this?
Well, I think most Australians, and I think they demonstrated over the weekend how they feel about our country and about our flag. I think in recent times, you know, a lot of Australians have been vilified, and the suggestion it is that they're racist, somehow racist, if they take pride in who we are as a country and in our flag that represents us as a country. And I find that, you know, our Prime Minister standing in front of three flags divides us into three people when we are one people, we are the Australian people, and we need to take that back, and we need to reinstate pride in who we are as a country, because we are a remarkable country that should be celebrated and not denigrated.
OK, so if neo-Nazis are marching through the street, some would say in the name of hate, should they be able to wave the flag in the name of hate?
Absolutely not. Not in the name of hate, no way. And I utterly condemn those who call themselves neo-Nazis, who are basically you know, inciting hate in our country, just as much as I condemn those who wave flags that belong to terrorist groups such as Hamas or ISIS, or carry the photo of the Iranian dictator. You know, those sorts of extremists, there is no room in this country for that level of extremism, which is occurring on both sides and should be utterly condemned on both sides.
Sorry, but the neo-Nazis are far left. I'm sorry, the people that think they are far right, but they're not. It's called the National Socialism Network. That is leftist. It is not the right wing. Sorry, I like this lady, but she's just played into it. Sorry.
You know, this is what's lent itself to the rise in anti-Semitism in our country, and our Jewish Australians should feel absolutely safe, but they don't in these current circumstances. But this has stemmed from the Prime Minister failing to call out those protests on the footsteps of the Opera House back in October, not in October, back
after October 7.
After October 7, correct.
So are you saying there is a groundswell of hatred in this country that is brewing? What do you want the government to do? What do you think Anthony Albanese should do?
Well, Anthony Albanese needs to stand in front of one flag and one flag only. That represents the entirety of the Australian people. He is the leader of this country. When you look at us in a global setting, we look confused. We look as if we are three people. He needs to start in stating that we should be proud to call ourselves Australians, proud of our history.
That's because the left is confused.
In being part, the first, whether we're the first Australians, whether we're those who have convict heritage, which is certainly I do. I'm proud of both sides of my heritage, whether we come from a migrant background, which of course my husband is, and my children wouldn't be who they are today without all of those elements of what it means to be Australian and to celebrate this country. This is what we don't do enough of, celebrating who we are as a country. That's what our Prime Minister should be pushing more of and standing up for.
Okay, Senator Price.
There you go. I agree with her on most of it, except for that's not right wing. John McGowan said when they say right wing extremism, they're talking about anyone who wants to campaign or activate in opposition to mass migration. A storm is coming. Australians versus the agenda. Communications Minister Anika Wells is warning of the growing threat of right-wing extremism, particularly because people are able to organise online. Here's another one with an agenda. She says her mission will be to make sure online spaces are safe for everyone, including kids. Oh, here we go. I might have to turn the volume down. Got a feeling this one's going to be louder.
And as Minister for Communications, my concern is how we stop this from spreading online. I think everybody in Australia has experienced an uptick in seeing this kind of behaviour because people are able to organise online. And part of what drives us as the Albanese government and our mission to make online spaces safer, particularly for Australian kids, is the prevalence of this kind of thing and doing what we can where we can. And as Minister for Communications...
Oh, mate, seriously, why are they all women? Leftism is a disease, I think. But anyway, Anti-Taxers said a man was just executed in front of his family during a home invasion. A 3-year-old girl was attacked by the intruder, and this police chief went in front of cameras and said that your best defence is to just comply. What the actual fuck? Are you going to stand by and watch your 3-year-old child get essayed?
Premier can make his own statement and his own mind up about that. What I would say is, as a police service, we'll follow the laws as they're written. If the laws change, we'll change with the laws. But as it stands, we know the best defense for most people is to comply. As you've just heard, a number of safety recommendations will allow for those that are victimizing members in the community to leave and not harm anyone.
But that's not what happened, is it, mate? Our police commissioner did this back in 2017. Said the same thing. Just comply. Or escape out a door or a window or... Are you fucking serious?
It sometimes can fall on deaf ears when members feel like they have to take matters into their own hands. And the only thing I'd say is, if we are going to rely on our community members to take matters into their own hands to solve this problem, we have all failed our community. I've been down at Queen's Park.
Yes, you have failed the community, mate. You really have.
I've provided comments on bail reform. So have many of my colleagues across the GTA. And here we are again talking about it. And it seems like in some cases, right, we have not moved the needle collectively. Because this is not just a police issue. Unfortunately, when it becomes our issue, it's too late. So we need to do something about this issue around bail and about keeping those people off the streets that shouldn't be on the streets.
Okay, that's one thing I agree with him on. It's the judges, they're letting them go to do it again. Apparently that guy who did that had previously attacked a child. Well, if someone breaks into my home, I don't care. I'm going at it. Even if I die doing it, I'm going, okay? Dan Scavino said POTUS just may break the internet shortly. I can't wait to see what's going on there. Going to have to look that up at the end. Liz Churchill said after the vax terrorists are in prison, we're coming for the despicable medical dancers. We will not be mocked like this ever again. Do you remember this? When the hospitals were so busy that they had time to make up dancers. Crazy. Okay, I'm not going to play the music. Let's just watch all these morons. I believe these are actors anyway. And someone said something about central casting. I think it was an Australian politician, actually, which is very interesting. It's coming up shortly. Just so you remember this, I will never forget this, okay? I hope you don't either. Because I'd like to know if the hospitals were run off their feet, how they had time to practice, choreograph, and do these dances. Interesting, isn't it? And yet people still went along with it, thinking, oh, yeah, look at the firefighters too. I thought you were saving people's lives, guys. Actually, hospitals were empty. I mean, I drove past 2 different hospitals during COVID in 2 different areas, and they were pretty empty, man. There was not a whole lot of people there. So maybe that's how they had time to choreograph and practice and make up these dances. Interesting, isn't it? I can't believe people fell for this. I really can't. But anyway, Jordan H. Knight said they're now arguing against a pause in immigration. How far we've come. Opinion, a migration breather might sound appealing, but economically it's a shocker. Now, this is one of our headlines here in Australia. I reckon let the cards fall where they may. Credit to John Ruddock, who's been consistent on his position for a 5-year pause for years. I reckon we need more than a 5-year pause. But anyway, TFW, the anti-immigration starts leaving my body. Hello, everyone. My name is Catalina. I'm 26 and this is Tasmanian Backpackers. And I'm looking for farm work in Tasmania, ideally near Hobart. I'm on a working holiday visa and looking for a 6-month position. I've worked in a vineyard before and I'd love to continue in vineyards, but I'm open to any farm opportunities. I have lots of energy and I'm eager to learn and help out wherever needed. Thanks so much. Well, some of Australians need those jobs, you know. Urgently scans realestate.com looking for a small apple farm to buy. All they have to do to offset their loss to GDP is open the floodgates on cheap energy. They're cheating our economy and got caught. They are opposed to this because immigration is a self-licking ice cream. The more we bring in, the more people we need to support the ones we bring in. Really, I don't see our GDP flying with the mass immigration that we're currently having. Yeah. It's a Ponzi scheme being held up by immigration as well. DOQ said if you are capable, say a prayer for Bobby as he walks into the Congress meeting, like I just showed some of his speeches in there. Elon Musk said 2-tier justice in the UK. Tommy Robinson said no caption necessary. South Yorkshire police gave no arrest deal to Rotherham grooming gang ringleader. But the teenager who waved an England flag near North Yorkshire Islamic Centre has been jailed. And this is happening in Canada, Australia. Okay. DOQ said Kuma first mentioned Epstein on 11/11/17. Total times mentioned in drops, 69. They said saving Israel for last. If I'm thinking logically, there's always been a plan around what is happening with the Epstein thing. It is. There is a plan. It'll come back to it. Steve Mudflap McGrew's Remasculated podcast. said actor Jason Bateman is sick of Trump and the people who keep supporting him. He said Democrats should start going after the people who elected Trump and give them a talking to. Here, do some talking to Jason. What do you have to say to him? You freaking moron. You're a traitor to your own country. Tommy Robinson said insane news out of Germany. A seventh AfD politician dies ahead of the local elections next week. What are they doing? Killing them off? That's what it looks like. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm just saying that's what it looks like. Okay, Pauline Hanson said breaking news. Senators have been banned, from wearing the Australian flag on the floor of the Senate because of a complaint made by the anti-Australian Greens. This is crazy. Well, they should only be flying the Australian flag in Parliament and that's it. But you should see how many times they tried to prevent Pauline Hanson from speaking. Watch this.
Well, it's our National Flag Day. For 124 years we've had our flag. It's represented us through wars, Olympics, championships, at sporting events, and people fly it with pride. And so they should. I'm a patriotic Australian, but I was so disgusted today when members of Parliament, including myself, were told to remove the flag.
I asked for a ruling, please, on whether the senator who's wrapped in the national flag at the moment is contravening the standing order that prevents props. And I do want to make the point that if it's okay for Senator Nampijinpa Price to wrap herself in this flag, I would intend to wrap myself in a Palestinian flag and come into the chamber and exercise the same rights that Senator Nampijinpa Price is currently exercising.
What makes it worse still is the Liberal Deputy President agreed with the Greens.
Could I ask you please to finish your speech without the flag on your shoulders? And that way we do not, Senator McKenzie, I will address you directly, we do not want to set a precedent in this place that would have very unfortunate consequences for the future.
Do you understand you live in Australia, you freaking anti-Australian moron? Sorry, but they are.
Well, it's time we sent our politicians a message. It's about standing together, united as Australians. This is our national flag, and I encourage all people, go out there and wear it with pride, or you actually show it with pride in your places of employment, on work, in your homes, on your flagpoles, on your cars. I don't care. Let's stand up for our Australian flag.
You know what? The Australian flags you buy on Australia Day that go onto your car, I'm thinking of putting mine on the car permanently. I'm driving around with the Australian flag flying on both sides of my car. Francie Nancy said, oh wow, did Senator Alex Antic just ask the very question about the NSN that's been swirling around X since March for Australia? Let's have a listen. I wonder if he's going to ask if they're paid by government or paid by someone.
President, the March for Australia was an overwhelmingly peaceful event held across Australian capital cities last weekend. 99.9% of the attendees were there for the right reasons, expressing their frustration over the terrible state of the country. The participants were everyday Aussies from all backgrounds, united with a concern for the terrible state of the country and Australia's future. Then enter the appalling National Socialist Network, or the NSN, labelled far-right by the media, but using the term socialist in their name, which always strikes me as being odd. Now, the NSN are a strange group, not face-tattooed overweight men like we've come to accept from these tights, but the oddly clean-cut, preppy-looking ones. As someone said to me the other day, seems like they're straight out of Central Casting.
Hey!
For the last few years, these men have been turning up to similar events every now and then, mostly masked, but sometimes not, but certainly right on cue. Well, why don't we know more about these people, and how come a group with so few numbers gets so much media attention? I think that's weird. And how come the leader of the group just happened to be in the area right as the Premier of Victoria conducted a press conference with multiple cameras around? Must just be an incredible coincidence. Their stunts seem almost like pantomime. One would say cartoon-like if the subject matter wasn't so appalling. It's very odd, actually, and none of it seems to make sense. But one thing's for sure, though, these people don't speak for the views and concerns of everyday Aussies. But that said, there's no doubt how useful they've been for the government, the media and the establishment that's hell-bent on trying to subdue a dissent of the growing in mainstream Australia about a country in decline. And I think that's odd.
Well done.
President, the March for
Yeah,
Australia...
I agree with him. Now, how come they just turn up conveniently? Most of them masked up most of the time, but now they've decided to show their faces. Is that because they were called out? 40 Head said, please pray for everyone impacted by the wildfires. We're currently surrounded by 10 wildfires, none close enough to harm us right now. But there's a lot of people, lots of people losing everything right now. Lives have been changed forever. Entire towns in California, Sierra Nevada foothills have burned. So much history from the gold rush era is being lost. They lasted through nearly 175 years of history, but Democrat policies, unethical control of water resources, and ending logging operations have made wildfires so much more dangerous there. There are over 100 fires burning in the western United States right now, and I believe Canada as well. POTUS ruled Donald Trump, please institute and enforce mandatory logging and power line right-of-way management in western states, and please get California's water back under control of Californians and out of the hands of Stuart Resnick. Well said. Twin turbo I don't know how to say that. Celica. Twin turbo Celica it is, sorry. So New Zealand's house prices and rent prices are declining. This matches their net overseas migration also falling. Can someone explain to me why net migration affects New Zealand's housing prices, but people refuse to believe it would have any effect on Australians? Housing prices and rents have plummeted across the ditch, but experts are warning there will not be a similar correction in the Australian market anytime soon. In New Zealand, home values have fallen back to 2019 levels after prices reached an all-time high during the pandemic. Rents have also declined this year for the first time since 2009, meaning housing in New Zealand is more affordable whether buying or renting. Mortgage rates and construction have both declined in New Zealand as well. Conditions would usually drive prices up. But net overseas migration into New Zealand also fell to its lowest point in the last 2.5 years, which was helping to stop demand from outpacing supply. According to macro business chief economist Leith Van Onselen, meanwhile, in Australia, the latest PopTrack data showed national home prices reached a record high of $827,000 in July, rising 0.3% last month and 4.9% over the year. Mr Van Onselen described the New Zealand slump as a beautiful house price crash and said although the two markets shared similarities, with current policy settings, the Australian market would only continue to trend upward. Of course, because they're not willing to slash immigration. That's why New Zealand have fallen slightly. And this, I just want to show you how bad grok is, okay? I don't trust any of these freaking AI BS bullshit stuff. Concerned citizens said, hey, Grok, is there any truth in this statement? WR Shock QBD said mammograms smash open the lumps, causing the parasites to go wild and actually gives you cancer. There's someone finally said it. Now, I don't, see your doctor if pain persists, okay? See Timmy. Now watch. Where is Grok? No, there's no scientific evidence supporting that mammograms cause cancer by smashing lumps and releasing parasites. Mainstream medical sources like the American Cancer Society and the Mayo Clinic, who make money from it, yeah, of course, confirms mammograms use low radiation and compression that doesn't spread cancer. Parasites can rarely mimic breast lumps but don't cause breast cancer. Benefits of early detection outweigh risks. Now, when you go into this, lack of evidence is not proof of fact. No one's going to produce a scientific fact. The cancer industry is huge. People have their lives to value. And then Marie, 17, said, hi, Grok, can low-dose radiation and folic acid snap the DNA in lymphocytes, slowing down our antioxidant and detox systems? Low-dose radiation can cause DNA damage in lymphocytes by inducing breaks in oxidative stress, potentially affecting antioxidant systems. However, folic acid, folate, typically supports DNA repair and may protect against such radiation effects. Deficiency, not the vitamin itself, increases damage risks. No evidence suggests that they combine to snap DNA. Oh, God love you. Oh, thank you, Flyby Stew. Oh, God love you. Thank you so much. I can't believe it popped up on the screen. Yay. Increases damage. No evidence suggests they combine to snap DNA or slow detox. Consult a doctor for personal advice. And a lot of people, Grok will never give you their answer unless you press hard and provide your own solid evidence, but at that point, why bother asking it? James Magafan said it's funny how Grok just follows CNN narrative and everybody thinks AI is intelligent. This is bullshit because in the UK they no longer use mammograms for early detection, especially if boobs have a dense breast tissue. Grok, it's pure common sense that if you put pressure on a tumour of any sort, you're causing microabrasions. Oh, give me 1 sec, guys. I just got my son's ringing me. Hang on 1 sec. Okay, sorry, I just had to, it was my son, so I have to answer it. God love you, Flyby Stew, you're a legend. In cancerous tumours that will release cancer cells into the blood stream or surrounding tissue, surely you're not claiming erroneously that crushing a cancerous tumour would cause no spread of cancer. Now, I don't know because I'm not a doctor, okay? This is just people arguing with Grok, but what I'm saying is Grok's not as smart as people think it is. Neither is any of the AI. A mammogram that puts significant pressure on breasts to check for cancer does exactly that. You do not need a medical degree to understand that crushing lesions or cancerous tumours is not good medicine. Grok said, while common sense might suggest compression could spread cancer cells, they just said it wouldn't. Medical evidence doesn't support this. Studies, example from PMC and NCI, show no increase in circulating tumour cells or metastasis from mammograms. Compression is brief and controlled to improve imaging without rupturing tumours. Benefits of early detection far outweigh rare risks like bruising. Consult a doctor for personal advice. Do you know what? Patrick R. Riley said, you've forgotten the scientific method, Grok. If mammograms are the method of detection, then they are the first step in knowing about breast cancer. You cannot prove the pre-existing lower amount of cancer cells pre-detection of breast cancer. Instead of defending a broken and corrupt medical system, why don't you offer some alternatives for early detection that are non-invasive and not mammograms? Maybe ultrasound. I don't know. Fair point on the challenges of pre-detection baselines. Studies rely on comparisons and long-term data showing no metastasis increase from mammograms. Alternatives for early detection. Breast ultrasound uses sound waves, non-invasive, good for dense breasts. Mayo Clinic recommends as a supplement. A breast MRI, magnetic imaging, no radiation for high-risk individuals. ACS guidelines. Automated breast ultrasounds, scans whole breast without compression. Discuss this with a doctor for best fit. Now that's what I would do. If you were going to find out if you have, breast cancer, look at alternatives to mammograms. But anyway, Grok's not that smart, I don't think. I don't think any of them are. That would be the end of it if Grok admitted that. Oh dear. Yeah. See, these AI are not as smart as they think they are. And I think we've got a huge problem coming up if AI is going to be running anything. Well, that's why YouTube have problems. They have AI algorithms. So you can see the problem there. Angelo Plume said, someone once told me a story about a gypsy woman who would loiter around a train station waiting for victims to pickpocket, all while carrying a baby in her arms. When she locked on a target, she would approach him or her and accidentally drop the baby to the floor. In the ensuing commotion of the baby's tears and the gypsy's melodramatic wailing, as innocent bystanders stepped in to help, she would seize the opportunity to snatch wallets or handbags. Now, the person told me, think how many times each day that gypsy drops the baby. Wow, when things don't go as planned. This is insane. Years ago, Polish police busted a gypsy gang for using dead kids as props. Gypsy women begged for money in Warsaw's subway while carrying corpses. They're not human. Wow. Angelo Plume said, if I speak, Twitter will suspend me. I remember when an elderly gyppo tried to emotionally blackmail us into giving her baby our entire pizza. The baby wasn't even on solids yet. What in the far out is going on? This is insane. This woman and another were throwing rocks at Mr. Kaz in the same direction as children. Why were they doing this? Because he was filming himself in public, exposing scammers like this woman. Filthy gypsies, they cry out as they strike you. He had every right to defend himself. That's what happened, okay? They were throwing rocks at someone who was filming and, yeah, they didn't like it. And they were throwing them towards where children were. Nice one. Australian Patriot said it had to be said, Susan Lay's leadership is finished. This is our opposition leader who's actually, I think she's like a rhino. She is a Liberal in name only. Her campaign isn't just floundering, it's now dead in the water. Against a Labor government dripping with corruption and incompetence, she has delivered nothing but silence. This is not opposition, it's surrender. She's made next to no impact and voters know it. They've tuned out and written her off as she's lost the room, and with it the coalition's credibility under her watch. Meanwhile, Jacinta Price is everything Suzanne Ley is not. Fierce, authentic, connected, she speaks with conviction. While Ley dithers, she lands blows that resonate. While Ley stumbles through sound bites none of us remember. Australians are crying out for strength in the face of Labor's wreckage. They are not going to get it from a leader who can't even inspire her own party room, let alone the nation. And actually, isn't her name Sussan? Sussan's time is up. The longer she stays, the deeper the coalition sinks, and that was the whole plan all along, I believe. Stick someone who is a Liberal in name only, because that's what our opposition's called, the Liberals. Okay, yeah, and sink the party. That's what I think's happened. Okay, sorry, that was a one of those stupid calls from someone who wants to tell me that the electricity, you know, they can search for a cheaper electricity price for me, even though I'm leaving this house and don't need it, and I've told them, but they keep ringing me. Bold, unapologetic, persistent enough to take the fight to Labor and tear down their floor because they need Jacinta at the helm, okay? Jacinta is tomorrow's victory. The coalition must choose. Now, this is Jacinta, and I agree. She'd be great as a Liberal head leader. But instead we got this person who looks like they've just come from the Labor Party and jumped into Liberal. Okay, into the memory hole. Set update from a Walmart in the widest area of the US. 80% of the staff were randomly replaced by Africans over the span of 2 weeks. Like off-the-boat Africans. Not African Americans, but yes, fresh off the boat. Batman said, turn up for work late, spend 1 hour on morning tea, 2 hours on lunch, go home early, where do I work? Yep, the government. Yes, when I was working, I worked at the government briefly before I left because it was so freaking boring and there's nothing to do. Why the hell did they have that that spot, you know, when there's nothing to do? You go and sit there and twiddle your thumbs for the day. They had this thing where you can turn up between 7 and 9 or 8 and 10 or something and leave between 3 and 5, you know, or 3 and 6 or whatever it is. But they don't. They turn up late for work. They spend an hour on morning tea. I've seen much of this in my working for the government. 2 hours on lunch, go home early. Where do I work? Yep, the government. That's what they do. Charlie Kirk said the pressure campaign to remove RFK Jr. has been ratcheted up as 1,000 HHS employees signed a letter demanding his resignation. If 1,000 employees who helped lock down America, close schools, mandate COVID shots, masks, and social distancing want RFK fired, it's a badge of honour. RFK Jr. remains one of the admin's most popular cabinet secretaries. There you go. It's HHS workers that are demanding RFK's resignation. And Basil the Great, has there been a murder in Cairns, London again? Well, I don't know, but this guy's covered in blood. Mate, what the fucking London? Fucking lock them borders up now. Honestly, this country is a effing joke. Great. This is what we got to look forward to, guys, in Australia. Hey, Kai, how you going? Rod, how you going? Good to see you guys. Matthew Kamazuli said, as the erudite Senator Alex Antic most astutely points out, the SNNSN stands for the word socialist. That's right. The Nazis were, in fact, left-wing socialists, almost as far left as Albanese's friends in the socialist Fabian Society, but they are communists. Nationalism, having pride in one's nation, is akin to being house-proud. Nothing wrong with a bit of national pride. Being an extremist socialist, however, nationalist or unionist, is to deny the damage those ideologies have done throughout modern history, because they always take on an increasingly authoritarian bent. Because the principles of taking vast amounts of resources from the productive and wasting it in the name of redistribution is unsustainable. Force must be employed. The state becomes the everything, the bland, heartless and technocratic everything. Communism and fascism have killed millions of people. Classic liberalism built on the principles of forgiveness and to do unto others as you would have done unto you, combined with a free market and voluntarism, is the way. Freedom of speech, a free press and democracy is the way, giving rise to the right to life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Well done, Senator Antic. May the winds ever be ever at your back, Australia. And this is the same video I just showed, with him saying he finds it quite interesting how they just turn up at the right time. Okay, sorry, I needed a sip of my tea there. Ozpill said a Reddit post has revealed Indians are planning to lie on census worldwide about their ancestry, ethnicity, in order to stop Westerners noticing Indians coming in. Well, that's not going to work, because all you need to do is go into a lot of towns in the centre of town and you'll see it. I've got a cough again. Sorry, guys. Okay. This is a generic post. We have a fast-growing overseas presence. They do not like this. I'm especially talking about Canada, UK, Australia and New Zealand. The US doesn't really apply to this anymore since migration is down, but listen up. Whichever country you are in, whenever the next census is on, lie about your ethnicity, nationality. In Australia, there's major concerns about all the Indians coming there. So what did their left-wing government do? They removed all questions about ethnicity for their next census in 2026. This is excellent for us. We don't want others noticing us coming in. Well, do they realise we freaking do notice it? It doesn't matter about the census. You just have to look on the streets. Just come to the country, respect the law and mind your business. There's no net positive reason for us to flaunt our numbers overseas. This would cause nothing but trouble for us. Here is what the ancestry question in Australia looks like. If you were smart, you would have selected Australian. There's no reason to make our numbers look higher, giving fuel to racists. There's also no repercussion for putting whatever you want in these surveys. And this is what they're showing people. fill in the Australian one. Oh, they fear our numbers. Yeah, well, when you're overrun, it's going to change the demographic. Look, if you're escaping India for a better life here, if you integrate and do the right thing and come here, fine. But you can't overrun a country because you know what's going to happen? Import the third world, become the third world. Matt Walsh said, why don't they just say the names now? What's the point of doing a press conference unless you're going to say the names of the people who abused you? There is zero strategic or legal benefit to announcing ahead of time that you have names and will release them at some later point. Just release them. Say the names. Benny Johnson said, breaking Epstein victims and survivors announced they'll be releasing their own client list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. We will compile the names we all know that were regularly in the Epstein world. Look, I think this is somehow dreamed up by the left. Why aren't they saying the names? Let's have a listen.
Transparency is justice. Release the files. End the secrecy and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names.
Say 'em. This is just like a PR thing.
We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
Yeah, great. What was that for? Like, seriously, what was that for? DOQ said all you sick people that made it a priority to call Donald Trump a pedo on X, probably not your best move in life. Good luck to you and whatever happens next when you find out that that's not true. Menachem Vorheimer said, wonder how many people know neo-Nazi Thomas Sewell is an unemployed immigrant from New Zealand. Maybe we should send him back. Yeah, but they wouldn't do that because the government is using him to label all protesters as Nazis, not realising that Nazis are left-leaning, not right. Sorry. Cat Turd said Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene on full display. It's impossible to hate these two frauds anymore right now. Just the sight of these backstabbing losers makes me sick to my stomach. MTG is worse, pretending to be on our side while trying to take Trump down. What a piece of shit fraud. Seriously, this picture tells you everything you need to know. Okay, I don't know. But I just thought I'd put it in there because, I don't know, someone's saying that MTG and Thomas Massey are traitors to Trump. Corey J. Muller said every district attorney who has worked in a sex crime unit knows why homosexual men virtually never adopt daughters. Ooh. Why do they always adopt sons? Virtually, okay? Not that they never do, but virtually never adopt daughters. Lozzie B said, breaking in Sydney, a giant black Islamic cube has been erected within metres of the World War II Commando Memorial at Martin Place, Sydney. Martin Place is also the location of the horrifying Lint Cafe Islamic terrorist attack. The Holy Kaaba is an important symbol in Islam that plays a central role in Muslim worship. This is disrespectful to those that lost their lives during the Lint Cafe Islamic attack and to our veterans. What an absolute disgrace. Okay, this is the Lint Cafe siege. And they were putting up and these are the same things they held up the Palestinian protest. Yep. Good one. Real smart. End Wokeness says BLM's push for body cams continues to be one of the biggest cell phones of all time. Yeah, apparently this lady was shot and but because she was attacking police. Is it a taser? Oh, maybe she was shot with a taser. But anyway, the left are trying to say she was shot for no reason, but she was attacking the police. America has two problems. Problem one, all races are equal and can be good Americans together. This is an ideological substitute religion. Denial of reality is suicidal in the long run. Problem two, black people. How about if all black people go back to Africa to prove the whole world that they are advancing Africa without outside help? The world is a better place because of the white man. Oh, okay. I believe everyone can if they're taught how to. But yes, if they're so good and they built everything, why aren't they helping Africa? Senator Babette said today Labor and the Greens colluded to hijack Pauline Hanson's matter of urgency. On the left is her original motion. On the right is what they changed it to. I've never seen this before. It's insanity. It's not democracy. I was due to speak in support of Hanson's motion. My opportunity was stolen. Okay, so on the left is her original motion. Pursuant to Standing Order 75, I give notice today that I propose to move that, in opinion of the Senate, the following is a matter of urgency. The need for the Senate to take immediate action to make it an offence to willfully burn or desecrate the Australian flag. And what they changed it to was omit all words after the following is a matter of urgency. Substitute. The need for the Senate to recognise Australia as a nation that welcomes different races, religions and views, and today is home to the oldest continuous culture on the planet, and to people from more than 300 ancestries. The Australian national flag and other national flags, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags, represent our shared values, our rich history, and any actions to desecrate these flags should be condemned. No, just the Australian flag. The Aboriginal flag only popped up in the 70s, and the Torres Strait Islander flag as well. Look, seriously, do you want to be one nation or do you want to keep dividing? And this. Senator Benny Pong, Australia will provide $1 million in humanitarian aid to the people of Afghanistan following the deadly earthquake. Our thoughts are with the victims of the disaster, their loved ones in the Afghan Australian community. Our aid will be delivered through trusted partners led by UN OCHA. She's been ratioed. She has 570 likes, 604 comments. Let's have a look at the comments. Disgraceful. If Labor wants to donate money to Afghanistan, put your hands in your own pockets. The opinionated black woman auntie, who is an Aboriginal, said, oh, fuck off, you idiot. V said, can't another country provide aid for a change? We're only 27 million population, about 13 million taxpayers. We are ignoring our own homeless population. Yes, treachery when there are homeless Australians. How about no? Give that $1 million to Australia's homeless veterans or something else for Australia, you twat. F Afghanistan, we have people here in need and our people have a lot less tendency to strap explosives to their chest and kill innocent people. So there you go. Anyway, she's been ratioed. That's when you know someone's been ratioed, is when they have more comments than they do likes. And I'm not liking it. She's a freaking moron. He, she, it. Drew Pavlou said, do people actually think this is a good argument in favour of open borders? No one's calling to ban Chinese restaurants, you idiots. Immigration protesters slammed for eating yum cha after a rally. We love our Chinese restaurants here in Australia. They're freaking yum, okay? Yum cha, actually, okay? No one's saying that, oh my God. No one's saying you can't have immigrants full stop, except the Nazis maybe, which are left-leaning, not right. Most people are just calling for a stop on immigration until we can sort out everything else. Australians versus the Agenda said Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has urged all Labor MPs not to tar all anti-immigration protesters with the same brush, warning that demonisation could push people further down that rabbit hole. Too late, he already did. And now he's telling people not to. But he already did. Make that one make sense. I can't. DOQ said, not saying it'll be today, but the world will soon find out what this is at some stage, at some point in the soonish future. The story will be talked about and written about for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years to come. That's why you should go and read it. Elon Musk said police state. J.K. Rowling said, what the F has the UK become? This is totalitarianism, utterly deplorable. The Free Speech Union said when Glinner landed at Heathrow, he was met by 5 armed police officers and immediately arrested. His crime? 3 gender-critical tweets. As Graham says in his Substack, in a country where pedos escape sentencing, where knife crime is out of control, where women are assaulted and harassed every time they gather to speak, the state has mobilised 5 armed officers to arrest a comedy writer. Graham's single bail condition is that he does not go on X. We do not believe Graham's arrest or the bail conditions imposed were lawful. We'll be backing him all the way in his fight against these preposterous allegations and the disproportionate response from the police. That's crazy. Why? Well, we know why. There's no point in me asking, but you know. Yeah, Elon Musk said police state. Senator Babbitt said we have the same problem in Australia. It's not an accident. It's a deliberate destruction of Australia and our way of life. Charlie Kirk said America does not need more visas for people from India. Perhaps no form of legal immigration has so displaced American workers as those from India. Enough already. We're full. Let's finally put our own people first. Laura Ingram said don't forget that any trade deal with India will require us to give them more visas. I'd rather not pay them in visas and trade deficits. Let Modi see what terms he can get from Xi instead. Xi Jinping. Yep. Any government driving destruction of its own people is not legitimate. That was from yesterday, and so we're at the end. So there you go. Insane, isn't it? We all watch this insanity together and just know that we're watching a movie, okay? I mean, I can get angry all I like, but we're watching a movie. Okay, so J1 said oregano oil for a tickle in my throat. Yeah, I don't have any honey at the moment, or I'd use that. My honey has all gone crystalline, so it's like just eating sugar nearly. That's as far back as I can get. Out to lunch. How you going? Did I miss you before? I'm sorry. Stu said, Poops don't want to be blowing kisses at men here. Oops, I think you meant. Yeah, J1, shabby crap field. Yeah, I thought you meant oops, Stu, yeah. Out to lunch, said had to mow today, but it was a beautiful day. Nice. Yeah, it's a nice sunny day out here today. It's going to be a coolish 14 degrees, but sunny. In the next couple of days, we've got a couple of 20-degree days coming up. Ooh, I can't wait. Sherry said, don't understand all these white people talking crap about other white people. No, neither do I. I don't think she's aware of her own skin colour, Sherry, to be honest. Either that or she wants to be taken over. I don't know. So I think some feminists, right, have gone so far that they actually want these men to come in and like, take them over, you know what I mean? Like, really give it to them, you know? That's, I don't know. Oh, dear. J1 says she got the Gavin Newsom hands going on. Oh, she's a weirdo. She really is. Nuts. And a lot of it's projection and just plain stupidity. She says that the right wing doesn't make any sense. That's because she doesn't listen to them, because if she did, she'd understand they do actually make sense. But unlike her, she's not making any sense whatsoever, just calling people names. That's the way. Stu said, mowing lawns is therapy if you have a noisy lawnmower. I do, and I've got to mow mine before I go too. Stu said, especially if the neighbours are still asleep. Oh, my goodness. Sherry said, I mow lawns to earn extra money. Yes, Stu, very therapeutic. Yeah, that would be good. Joe once said if you got a shaky old ride-on mower, you get a massage as well. I love ride-on mowers. They're better. They're much easier to mow the lawn. But then again, you don't get the exercise you get from pushing one. Stu said, you get it, guys. It makes me so happy I'm not all alone. Stu said, Mum won't let me ride one as I live on a hill. Stu said, but it's okay to get a warship. Flyby, Stu, good morning. Flyby, how you doing? Stu said, I'm getting my fill of French this lovely morning. Flyby Stu said, Stu, nice name, lol. Stu said, Jackie's got to stop chasing parked cars. J1 said her mirror would break. Stu said, I say Stu art, not stupid. Some digress. Sherry said, who's the Nazi here? Take away your freedom of speech. Yeah, exactly. Stu said, gaslighting us again. Flyby Stu said, I've used that exact same stupid, not PID, lol. Stu said, yep, and the veterans get less than anyone on earth. Yeah, they should be the ones getting, like that $1 million or whatever they're sending to Afghanistan should go to our veterans first. First and foremost. I don't even care about myself, right? Give it to the veterans. I've got a house to go to. My parents and my daughter's house, my parents' house, my daughter's, the whole family's there, you know? So that's fine. George said, hi, Hev, everyone. How you going, George? And Carl, J1. George said, Angela Rayner, the tax invader, could be gone by tomorrow. Oh, is that someone in the UK? J1 said, another man impersonating a woman. And Menacing Muskrat popped in. How you going, Menacing? Stu said, yes, J1, I get confused talking to out to. Menacing said, I'm a little late and I'm catching up 2 times speed. Stu said, I think directly after here I'm going to call the local primary school and ask if it's appropriate to fly the ABC alphabet flag. Stu said they get offended if I call them strange. J1 said, science, said the snake. Yeah, exactly. Stu said, that's the pot calling kettle black, I know, but it's another cup of tea, I tell him. Flyby said, George, check your bank card. Does it expire on the 8th, 27? Mine was just replaced last week. I was asking why it runs out in 2 years. Turns out it looks like the banks are planning something for friends, same date. Stu said 7/29 here. Keep up the good fight. Sad to hear of your loss. Flyby said, what country are you in, Stu? Out to lunch said, some redneck beer drinking sharpshooter say what to the ready to fight boaters? Yeah, exactly. I think normal Americans could take them out. Stu said, considering we might not be going to hell, I would appreciate a warm fire on arrival. I just run out of Kero. There you go. My heater went out. Stu said, Australia, well, okay, I'm in Victoria and it looks like a state of China. Oh, Stu, I feel for you. Nisi said, hey, from Columbia, SC, everyone. Sending thoughts and prayers for each of you. You too, Nisi. J1 said, I know what flag they fly. Whoops, I mean flag. Off. I read that like flag. George said, my bank card ends in 2029. Flyby said, that's a relief, George. Must be a coincidence then. Yeah, mine ends in 2028. Flyby said, nothing like rubbing your face in it. No, like rubbing your face in it. Kai said, Nisi, I lost access to the other channel. Stu said, my bank account will end when I get some gold and brass and lead to guard it from our government. Menacing Muskrat said, remember Albert Pike's letter written in 1871? I'd have to look that up. George said, I got a new bank card last year as my old bank card stopped working. Stu said, Guru, forget the Anzac. Let's get our knickers in a knot over a bit of cloth, idiots. Flyby said, I got one last week. New one runs out in 27. Stu said, how did they get here anyway? Go out back, dickheads, and sweat it. Out to lunch said, burning the flag is just like the N-word to the country, right? I believe it is. George said, 2 years on bank card, that's a bit weird, Fly. Stu said, I may be. It's so important to be kind. J1 says, sometimes I wonder about Jacinta. Yeah, I wonder about them all, actually, a lot of the times, you know. So, I don't know. I'd rather Pauline Hanson. Flyby said, Nesting Muskrat, I wish I had a lazy button for all your names, easy life. J1 said she's educated enough to choose her words wisely. Flyby said, not confused, brainwash. Menacing Muskrat's asking Flyby Stu how the canning's going. Menacing Muskrat said, Canada, Australia and the UK are suffering through this shite at the same. I've had enough. Yeah, we're all holding hands on a race to the bottom. See who can get there first, but we're all heading that way at the same time by the look of it. Yeah, J1, Ministry of Truth. They're advocating for the E-Safety Commissioner to do the job that she was hired to do, even though that's against, isn't it the Magna Carta? Bill of Rights, I don't know. I think the Magna Carta does the whole world, something in there. Anyway. Menacing Muskrat said, where's the redneck flannel shirt Canadians? I'm done. Flyby Shoe said, not so good given away to neighbours, friends. Maybe when we get an allotment, the canning will start. George said, these people are deluded. J1 said, George, they know what they're doing. Yeah, it's all by design. Kai said, most US police say the opposite, take classes far better for better aim. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, our police commissioner did that way back. It might have even been earlier than 2017, but I remember them coming on and saying that, and I'm going, fuck you. Someone breaks into my house, I'm going with everything I've got. Menacing Muskrat said, does it seem that there's a lot of movie stars passing? Yes, there is at the moment. George said, I have a hammer by my bed. Yep. J1 said, the dancing coven. Stu said, someone was threatening me a few months back. How sad to know he overdosed, his kids will be better off. Oh, really? Wow. Menacing Muskrat said, but why were they dancing? Because it was a marketing ploy. They had to market this pandemic. That's the only way people would buy it. I don't know. I don't know why people bought it from dancing nurses when the hospitals were supposedly run off their feet. Because they had that many patients coming in with COVID, remember? Yeah, I drove past a couple of them. They were dead quiet. There was barely any cars in the parking lot. No ambulances. It went really quiet during that time. Flyby said, George, you knocking nails in your sleep. Be careful you don't wake up with black thumbs, lol. Out to lunch at House of Sick People in Trauma and Labour Hospital. George said, no, Fly, no black thumbs yet. Stu said, don't fret, this guy was a violent gun offender. Yep, thumbs up, please. Thank you, folks. I really appreciate that. George said, this is a horrible looking outfit she's wearing. Oh, yeah, Pauline Hanson, yeah. See, she should be allowed to wrap the Australian flag around her shoulders then in Congress. Alex said, finally made it, only just sat down. There's not been enough time in the day to get everything done today, so I've been listening while I got the rest of it done. Oh, God, love you, Alex. I'm glad to see you here. We're starting to get a bit worried when you don't turn up. Stu said, her poor husband probably gets flogged overnight. Oh, yeah, she wears the pants in that family, let me tell you. He actually, someone said he looked scared, his eyes, you could see it in his eyes. Stu said, unacceptable, Alex, you're missed and needed. Kai said, I had to make a new channel. Oh, really? Flyby Stu said, paid actors everywhere. Well, I liked when Alex Antic got up and said something about central casting. Yeah, the NSN. Not the MSM, the NSN, so the Nazi Socialist Network, who just happened to show up at the right time every time. Paid agitators, Kai. That's exactly what I think it is. Alex said, looks like Australia's echoing what's happening in the UK with a flag, but I think we all know why it's happening, yes. Alex said, yes, there are lots of them, Kai. We can spot them a mile off too. Kai said, Giorgio Armani has kicked the bucket. I just heard from Tony. Yeah, I heard that last night. There you go. Stu said, as I said, welcome to hell, third world. Yeah, don't forget we're watching a movie. But it is affecting our real lives, unfortunately. Kai said, I'm gathering subs again. Other phone has swollen battery. It started doing its own. Oh, no, that's not good, Kai. Stu said, nothing is for free in this life. If it's worthwhile, they'll learn soon enough. Exactly. Kai said, and it's still supposed to get a lot worse too. Yeah, J1, trust the science, said the snake. Oh, God love you.
Stu tipped $3. Be kind to your mum.
Definitely. I will be. Flyby Stu said, here you go, Hev, like I promised, not quite the rent. Oh, that's fine. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate that. Alex said, I heard ages ago that designer labels never usually wear their own stuff because they know there's plenty of schmucks out there paying thousands of pounds when it probably only costs £10 to make. Exactly, Alex. That is exactly right. Sherry said, always refuse mammograms. I told my doctor if I don't have B cancer, I'll be letting them shoot me with radiation. He didn't agree. That's it. Yeah, I'd rather get an ultrasound or a scan of some sort other than a mammogram. Just personally, that's just my own. But as always, see your doctor if pain persists and get their advice, yeah, if you trust them. Alex said, awesome flyby. Yep, legends. You're both legends. Flyby and Stu, both your legends, mate. Stu said, Kai, at least you and me will be ready, resilient, not broken. Alex said, I forgot I could reply to the donation, lol. Yeah, you can on YouTube. Just understand that last time YouTube stole the money that Eyes donated to me, but anyway. I don't know if it was YouTube or Google, but one of them did. They kept the money. But anyway, that's, yeah, neither here nor there. Just know that. So you can still go through Streamlabs, which is pinned at the top of the comments. Or you can, and either way, they'll pop up on screen anyway. But I do thank you anyway, guys. Yeah, Menacing said, awesome, thank you, Flyby. Kai said, resilient and stubborn. Alex said, I told my mum about that a while ago about mammograms. I was offered one years ago and I'm so glad I didn't have it. Well, I also heard something interesting about breast cancer, that it's a coming and going thing. But I don't know, again, ask your doctor. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. Yeah, I miss Dr. Tim too. I messaged him this morning. Hopefully he's all right because I'm starting to worry about him. When I don't see him for a little while, I start to get worried, like Alex and Timmy and, yeah, everyone else. I start thinking, are they all right? I hope they're all right. Like everyone we prayed for. David over in WA, I hope he's all right. Yeah, there's a lot of people I kind of hope they're all right, you know, when I don't see them for a while. Alex said, agreed, he sounds like an okay doctor. Some of them try and force women to have them, Sherry. Kai said, Tony also just heard about her uncle. He's going to pass within hours, possibly. I've never met him, but I'm sure Tony feels something about it. Prayers to Tony. God love her. Alex said, yeah, snakes indeed, J1. J1 said, Alex, I think the same goes for all these big C tests they promote. Do the test and they just say, well, what do you know? You've got it. There's a lot of overdiagnosis, apparently. Allegedly, I don't know. Ask your doctor, but allegedly there are a lot of overdiagnosis on that big C that you may not actually have it. I wouldn't know what to do about that other than talk to your doctor about it and see what they say, if you trust them. Timmy would be a good one. Yeah. Stu said, prayers, Kai, for Tony and her dad and you. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Kai said, thanks, Stu. George said, sorry to hear that, Kai. J1 said, better yet, some cancel you out treatment. Yeah. Alex said, can you not log into your other channel? That doesn't sound good about your phone. I'll sub to this one you're on and put the link in Kai. Yes, can you put the link in? Oh, there it is down there. Alex said, that's evil. That's bloody wrong with people carrying dead children. They need to be jailed for life. Not only that, what about the woman dropping her child, how many times? To steal from other people. Hang on a sec, guys. Just. There you go. There's another one, Kai. Don't remove anything. No, don't want to do anything. Okay. Flyby said, keep these crazies out of here, for fuck's sake. Yeah, exactly. J1 said, suss and lay me down, roll me over and do it again. On your J1. And Rod, how you going? Stu said, even my mum's finally admitting we were right. I don't expect a thank you, yet grateful. Yeah, exactly. Alex said, can't you get them back through the email address you used? I had to recover a couple of email accounts when my laptop broke, and then I could log back into my YouTube. Kai said, tried for a few hours and gave up, started this channel. Oh, God love you. Kai said, I was literally shaking mad. Rod said, George, crazy times. Alex said, that's great news. I think people are waking up slowly but surely, Stu. Yeah, I think so too. Rod said, Kai, too effing tired to get that mad. Yeah, Kai said, I know, right? J1 said, Stu, even little drips can break the biggest boulders. Kai said, just ran out of patience completely. Well, when it comes to computers and stuff like that, I don't blame you. I do. Like, I'm apparently supposed to fill a tax form in for YouTube, Google, whatever, the AdSense, whatever the bloody hell it is. And I looked at it and went, I don't have a printer. I can't print it out. You can't edit the thing. What are we supposed to do with that? And it's American. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't know. They make it confusing. Anyway, that might just show you my IQ. Not very high, see? Alex said, the UK gets scarier by the day. Man in the window covered in blood. Exactly. With a knife in his hand, which is also covered in blood. Stu said, I've been carrying on like a pork chop. I think I need to cook one right now in the hair fryer. The hair fryer or the air fryer? Stu. J1 said, yum. George said, the UK is finished under Labor. Rod said, Kai, fresh out of give a shite, almost. Kai said, the smallest of farts can clear the largest of rooms. Alex said, do you remember what email you logged in with? It should be connected to your number and then you can change your password, Kai. Menacing said, Alex, we have Mark Carney, top WF. Insane. Yep, George, silent farts do smell, yes. J1 said, that's how my brother gets into a crowded bar. Oh, dear. Kai said, right, I feel you, brother. Stu said, especially the silent ones, Kai. Alex said, Kai, we have plenty of them in Parliament. Kai said, wait till Hev gets to that one. Yeah, no, that was okay, Kai. J1 said, it's like the Red Sea parting. Alex said, I know he has a track record of trashing things menacing. Stu said it was her chair. Kai said, but nothing is worse for all involved than a dripping... Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that's a bit different. When it follows through, you're in trouble. Alex said, I know how you feel, Rod. J1 said, if they can't sing Waltzing Matilda, they don't get in. Yeah. Rod said, Kai just gets so tired. FM seems so time to blow out and rest. Much love all. Yeah, have a good one, Rod. Just remember, this is to wake most of the other people up. And it's working because people are waking up. So, Kai said, a song to cheer up to. Back in Black, from there, I ruined it. Alex said, Labor have you ruined this country in less than a year and I'm gutted. We have another 4 years of them. Unless there's a complete overhaul. Sorry, I've got a cough again. Hang on. Oh, J1 said he's now an Aussie citizen. Is he? That New Zealander, the Nazi one? Yeah, that would have been our government. Guaranteed. Makes me think more and more he's a paid agitator. Flyby said, let's see what happens, Alex, 13th of September. Sherry said, those Epstein survivors are being handled by that all-red woman who is a friend of Hillary Clinton. This is a ploy to get Trump. That's why he said this is a hoax. They know what they're doing. I agree, Sherry. That's what I was thinking. This seems like a left attempt, because why don't they just name them? Maybe because they could be held for defamation if they do go at Trump. But some people want so badly for Trump to be involved in that. Sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat again. No. George said, Alex, hopefully Angela Riner will be sacked tomorrow. Joe1 said, the fog of war. Yeah, exactly. Stu said, not having Shannon here leaves a hole in my morning. He will get a big head and I'm not encouraging him, okay? So, Shannon, if you hear this later on, we all miss you. But we know you're working. See, I'm not as worried about Shannon because I know he's working. And I know he turns up, like, eventually, even late in the afternoon when he gets home. Alex said, I watched that live with the Epstein survivors. Thomas Massey created a bill to make it a law to release everything. I don't think he's a traitor. It will stop pedos from being protected. Well, I do think Massey is, could be. Then again, they've all got their job to do in this little theatre we call politics. So we'll see how it turns out. Menacing Muskrat said, please read the Albert Pike letter written in 1871. Okay, hang on one sec. Albert Pike letter. What was the year? Hang on. 1871. Oh, no, not 1781. Not 90 either. I don't know where I am right now. Okay, is it all the same one? Letter to Mazzani. Okay, I might do that for tomorrow, Menacing Muskrat. I'll read it on tomorrow's one. How's that? Stu said, wild hippopotamus is a real treat and very dangerous animal. Warning. Stu said, threat. Oh, no. Alex said, these sick monsters have been able to get away with abusing children for too long. It's time everything was uncovered. Yep. Kai said, hippopotamuses are terrifying. J1 said, my family have been Freemasons since the Orange Lodge in Ireland. Alex said, we love Shannon. He's probably working. Stu, hopefully he'll be back tomorrow. Kai said, cool. Flyby said, Parliament's still dragging their feet on the investigation. Out to lunch, the lady was charging at the cop with a knife. She was tased but got out, charged at a cop and got hole punched with a cordless hole punch. Okay. So she was tased at first and then she kept going at it, so they eventually shot her. Menacing Muskrat said, and the lady's lawyer, Gloria Feinstein, is wanting to help. She's allegedly a black hat. Yes, exactly. J1 said, Masonic Order of Red Men, lawyers and judges. Stu said, dim sim. I feel like going to Chinese. I can't afford it, but I feel like going for Chinese dinner. Yum. Alex said, I didn't know that. They need to get rid of that all-red woman if that's the case, Sherry. Out to lunch said, Stu, is it the hippo that stomp out the fires or is it rhinos? One of them do, I think. That was in The Gods Must Be Crazy. The lady lit a fire and a rhino came in and stomped it out. I think it was a rhino. I don't know. Hippo, rhino, I don't know. Stu said, yeah, but we should have worked it out when they set up Chinatown in our cities. Kai said, I like eating cat myself. Gets a real reaction. They don't all use cats and dogs, believe me. Out to lunch said, Kai the cat eater. Sherry said, Thomas Maddie and MTG have both come into a lot of money lately, Alex, and both have gone against Trump on different things. Sellouts maybe, follow the money. Yep. Exactly. That's what I was thinking. They might have turned. Where was I up to? Okay, there. Eating cat is fine until you get cat scratched. Oh, no, I don't think it's good to eat cats or dogs or anything like that. Out to lunch today, Alf would agree, cat. I'm not reading the rest of that one. I'm not reading that one either. J1 said, Sherry, yep, fog of war. I gave up, just enjoy the show these days. Well, that's all we can do is just read it and look at it and go, hey, this is what's going on. Okay, fair enough. Don't take it too personally. Don't take it too deep either. Alex said, we don't mind economic migrants. We just don't want criminal rapists and murderers in our country that their own countries don't even want. They love to gaslight. Exactly. Stu said, obviously this is Mr. Out to Lunch. Yes, it would be. Stu said, Jay, between your trees and my steering wheel. Kai said, Hev may be a bit cross with us soon. Not if I don't read them. Out to Lunch said, can't honey be water heated to make it honey? Oh, I'll have a go at that. Yep. Flyby said, way past my bedtime. Take care all. You too, Flyby. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Where am I up to? Kai said, out to lunch, yes, somehow or other. Oh, Cheryl. Thank you. And how you going? I didn't even realise it was Cheryl who said, put your honey in hot water. Bath, the crystals will melt. Oh, no, because it was, yeah, it was. Out to lunch and Cheryl. God love you. How you going, Cheryl? Anyway, I'd nearly missed you there. Stu said we can't let Shannon down, Kai. So they're going to make all the dirty jokes on... Yeah, okay. Okay. Kai said he's trying his best. Okay, I'm not reading that one, Kai. Alex said, take care, God bless, and see you soon, hopefully tomorrow, Flyby. George said, Angela Rayner is the Deputy Prime Minister. Oh, cool. So hopefully she'll be gone. Alex said, I hope so. Angela Rayner is horrid. They all are. Oh, that was that lady, that little beady-eyed lady. Alex said, I have to check my bank card, Flyby. Kai said, okay, I'm not reading that one either. Alex said, hey, Nisi, missed your comment as I was late to join the chat. I could only listen. Kai said, piece that together and sing it to Back in Black. Stu said, Kai, please don't start me again. Alex said, my card runs out this year. Thanks for making me look. I'll have to remember to get my new one. I wonder if Amazon will know my new details before I do again. It's funny that, isn't it? Stu said, we just think about how Angus Young's head and neck, he must have damage. Oh, yeah, from headbang and all that. Yeah. Kai said, and a guy at the bus stop said he was gay. I grabbed my shit and booked it, freaking ran away. Oh, okay, I'm not reading that one, Kai. Okay. Alex said, hopefully not for long if she gets the sack, George. We need complete dismantle and run things on a local level again. We are capable of looking after our own areas and do a much better job. Kai's crying. Oh, dear. Okay. George said, if Rayner does get sacked, Labor will not last long. Kai said, Soros is like the Empire's Sidious. Stu said, we miss the good Dr. Tim too. Yeah. Alex said, we definitely don't want Karnan either. If Starmer goes, that'll be the end, George. Alex said, yeah, I texted him the other day, but he hasn't replied. Oh, I hope he's okay. Oh, no. It worries me when he doesn't reply. Oh, no. I hope he's all right. Oh, shit. Okay, now praying for Timmy. Timmy. Okay, Alex said, sending love and prayers to everyone who can't be here. Exactly, yep. Kai said, I've got to wait till she gets to the jokes, but I have to go after those. Alex said, sending love and prayers to Tony. I hope she's okay. Yeah, definitely. George said, Khan needs to be sacked as well. Out to lunch said, this too shall pass. Yes, it will. Stu said, whoops, I'll be embarrassed, Kai, as per usual. Alex said, I agree. That's why I haven't been to the doctors for years. Too many bad experiences. Alex said, they all do. None of them are fit for purpose, George. Menacing said, been in and out. It's our supper hour. My husband is cooking. Yum. Oh, nice one. Alex said, oh, yummy. I'm glad he is back. Menacing Muskrat. And I hope Deb and Stormy are having a good time out there and on their little road trip and holiday. Yep, sending my love to Deb and Stormy as well. Alex said, oh, yummy, I'm glad he's back. Menacing, yes, definitely. Stu said, must be pretty in Canada in the fall, Muskie. Oh, poor Menacing Muskrat. She sent me a photo the other day and I said, oh, that's beautiful. She said, it's smoke. And I went, oh, no, I thought it was mist. Oh, I thought I was commenting on a beautiful misty picture. It was smoke. Oh, I felt a bit bad for that, Menacing Muskrat. I'm so sorry. Kai said, here we go, folks. Jokes approaching. Yes, and I didn't read them. Alex said, oh, what the fuck? Am I still live? What happened then? I just lost YouTube altogether. It's back, but I lost it. I'm brown here. I'm nearly done. Alex said, I made braised steak beef stew in the slow cooker with cheesy, normal and sweet potato mash. Nice, Alex. Yep, George said, sounds nice, Alex. Kookaburras are laughing at me. Kai said, it's back in black for people who don't listen to AC/DC. Definitely, yep. J1 said, yep, the Nancy one. Kai said, from there I ruined it. Stu said, and all got is a pork chop, Alex. Alex said, take care, God bless, see you soon, hang in there, times are tough, times are rough, but we're all here for each other, Rod. Alex said, it was so nice, I bought more steak earlier with my shopping to make it again. It's the weather for the slow cooker again now, George. Alex said, do you have a bit of apple sauce? You could shred it and turn it into a nice, massive toasted sandwich stew. Yeah, pork chops and applesauce. Yeah, that was really weird, man. I don't know what the hell happened there. But anyway. Stu said, fire up some lamb shanks in that slow cooker if you can find a sheep that has a leg left on it. Stu said, I know. Yous are all making me hungry. Stu said, I know, right? Dinner for grumpy old men. Kai said, rhino. Out to lunch said, Hev, yeah, that's the movie. Yeah. Stu said, got gravy and a roll. Oh, I'm getting hungry. Alex said, I was thinking of that earlier. I think I can only get frozen ones where I shop, but I might see if my dad can get me some next time he goes to the farm, Stu. Lamb shanks look so good. I've never had one. Oh, they're beautiful in the slow cooker. At the end, the meat just falls off. It is so tender. George said, I can't afford any takeaways either, Have not since my benefits were slashed. Oh, no, George. Praying for you, George, too, for that. That is terrible. Stu said, once a jolly jumbo. Okay, I'm not reading that one either, Stu. Alex said, I'll keep watching. I'll see how it pans out. I support exposing pedos completely, but I don't trust anyone at this point. Well, that's where I am. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens, okay? But I don't trust anyone at this point. They all seem like crooks, lol. Sherry, yep. Stu said, don't me and that motley crew have. Alex said, I don't think I would want a takeaway now. I do love to make my own fake away, though. Yeah, I do too. And I could do that, actually. I could make lemon chicken here with fried rice because I know how to make it. I just need to go and get some. Oh, no, I don't even need to go and get some buttermilk, actually, because you can marinate when you're doing Chinese. I looked up a Chinese recipe for lemon chicken, right? And you soak it in soy sauce, Chinese wine, cooking wine, and a couple of other things in there as well. And that marinates them. That's tomorrow night's dinner. Just okay, that's going to be my tomorrow night's dinner. Alex said, I know exactly what's gone in there. No nasties from unwashed hands, George. Yes. Well, I've got to admit, the last time I had honey prawns from the Chinese takeaway up the street, and the prawns were off. And it ruined the whole frickin' dinner. Alex said, what's that link for, Muskie? Kai said, she read a line. Alex said, I hope our lovely Debar is having a wonderful time on her road trip. Yes. George said, yes, Alex, I agree. Kai said, okay, I've got to go, everyone. Love you guys. You too, Kai. Oh, Alex said he said the last time that he turned notifications off for Signal. Hopefully it's just that again. I didn't realise Tim hadn't gotten back to you either. I only messaged him this morning. So I'm hoping to God he messages me back. Otherwise I'm going to really start worrying about Tim. And I can't. How do I even find out if he's okay? Because he's all the way over in the US. And the only way I can get in contact with him, maybe email and phone's the only way. So I really hope he is all right. Alex said, take care, God bless, see you soon. Love to you and Tony Kai. Out to lunch said, that saying brings joy and sadness. This too shall pass. Sad in a way, but kind of reassuring, yeah. Alex said, yes, you're still live. That was weird, Hev, yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys saw that too, because this is the shit that happens to me when I'm streaming. Stu said, beef stew. Alex said, yum, lemon chicken, lovely. You can make your own egg fried rice too. Yes, I do. Actually, I really do. You put egg in there in the frying pan, right? And you just mix it all up, and you can do it. Well, you can just actually whisk it first, put it in the frying pan, then cut it into slices or squares or whatever you want to do. Then you can add bacon. You could add peas. You could add shallots. What else can I put in my fried rice? Did I say bacon? Yeah. Anyway, I make a fully loaded fried rice, so and a bit of soy sauce, to flavour it. You don't need the soy sauce though, because the lemon sauce on the chicken will go through it anyway. George said, sounds nice, Hev. Stu said, apricot chicken is so 90s. Alex said, that's gross. Off prawns. Haven't eaten prawns for a few years now. Yeah, it stopped me from buying Chinese from the place up the street. So after that, I would not go there again. Stu said, off like a bucket of prawns in the sun. Yes, exactly, Stu. Alex said, that sounds interesting, apricot chicken. I bet that would be nice, Stu. It is actually. Apricot chicken's beautiful. You should look up a recipe for it and try it. It's actually really nice. Stu said, can you use dried apricots? They rehydrate. There you go. Or a can of apricots maybe, or fresh apricots. I've got a cough again. Hang on one sec. Alex said, that sounds like a delicious fried rice. I have to give that one a go. Inexpensive but filling and tasty. Just the sort of food I love. Well, put it this way. That fried rice you could nearly eat on its own as a meal without the other stuff on it. Nearly. You have to put a lot of bacon in there, but, Menacing Muskrat said, watch the podcast, The Confessor, YouTube, or listen. Okay, is that what that link was? Alex said, I have to give that apricot chicken a go too, mate. Oh, Alex, in the slow cooker, it would be excellent. Yes, definitely. Okay, guys, with that, I'm going to go, and I shall be back tomorrow for our normal Friday, Saturday live. Yeah, it's lovely, slathered with all that lemon chicken sauce. It really is. Yum. Yep, okay, guys, I'll see you tomorrow for our normal usual live, and hopefully you can join me then too. Okay, guys, much love. See you soon. Bye.